Hello, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. Sorry if you're watching live, it was meant to be live 45 minutes ago, but the World Cup is taking over. We've had extra time, Croatia-Denmark, Croatia win on penalties. What a World Cup we're having. But let's start off, Jose Mourinho's transfer frustration. It's double pranged. We will also be talking about Luke Shaw, Anthony Martial, Rabiot from PSG rumours, loads to discuss, so get involved. And look, we'll always do a show for you, even if it's a little bit later on an evening. So thanks everybody who's watching live. And everybody who's not, get involved. So let's talk about Jose Mourinho's transfer frustration. This is double pranged, like I said. There's two aspects to it, really. One, we go on tour to US tour in 2 weeks' time. Manchester United traditionally don't sign many people when they're on tour, and then 3 weeks later, we're starting our season. Many people feel that Manchester United need to get rid of at least 2, maybe 3 players. I think you put Darmian on there, Dave Blind on there, and then you're looking at maybe a Mata, maybe a Herrera. I don't know, but definitely 2 or 3 players need to go. Players that need to come in, I think again, at least 2 need to come in, maybe 3. So 4, possibly 6 deals to do in the next 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. Can we do 6 deals in 4 weeks at Manchester United? We'll certainly be doing them when we're on the US tour, which is going to be very fragmented anyway, the US tour, when you think about it, because somebody said today, well, De Gea's been knocked out, shockingly, for Spain, which I want to talk about quickly about De Gea. What's the criticism with De Gea? What does it matter what De Gea does for Spain? Does it matter if De Gea doesn't save penalties in a penalty shootout? Was it a Champions League final for Manchester United? No, it wasn't. Is De Gea the best goalkeeper in the world, according to Manchester United fans? Yes, he is. Does it matter what Liverpool or Arsenal fans think about De Gea? No, it doesn't. Do we think he's the best goalkeeper in the world? Yes, we do. Has he been our player of the year for the last 4 out of 5 years? Yes, he is. Would you swap him for any other goalkeeper in the world? No, we wouldn't. Forget it. Don't sit down, haters. Don't listen to them. Don't ever drop down to argue with idiots, because they're experts at it. He's the best goalkeeper for Manchester United. Move on. Don't really care what happens for Spain. But De Gea, will he go on the US tour? That's what I heard today. Oh, he's been knocked out. He'll go on the US tour. US tour starts. We go on the US tour in 2 weeks. Daley Blind, Darmian, anybody else who hasn't been to the World Cup, and Herrera, they've had 5 weeks off. 6 weeks, I think. De Gea is not even back from the World Cup yet, and you think he's going to go on a plane to US tour in 2 weeks' time. He won't be on that US tour. And then what about people like Pogba? What about, people who are still in the tournament like Lingard and Rashford? They could be in it for another week or 2, so they're not even going to go on the tour. And we come back from the tour and we start the season a week later. So we're not the only one in that boat, but we've got a very fragmented summer in the sense that when the season starts, we're going to have players that haven't really been training. They're pretty much going to finish a World Cup, go on the beach, come back to Manchester United. So it's all over the shop, and our transfers are all over the shop as well, probably because of the World Cup. So can we do it? Do you think Jose's frustrated or not? The second part to this is, and really interesting, this was reported by, I saw it in the Express, but it was the Manchester Evening News who said that they were talking about Januzaj obviously scored against England the other day. Rooney's gone to the DC United. So I was like, oh, this is a funny article, because they're like, Mourinho was frustrated with the Januzaj and Rooney leaving Manchester United. I was like, oh, God, don't tell me you wanted to keep them both. But when I read the article, the actual story behind it was that Rebic is a good shout, Rap, but I don't go for players who just perform in the World Cup. He needs to do it elsewhere. And Active Dan says he's crap anyway. But with what the story was, is that Mourinho was happy to move Rooney and Januzaj on. He was frustrated that he wasn't allowed to move more players on. Last summer, he wanted to get rid of more players, which I think is a really interesting angle when you think about it, because one of the things that gets levelled against Mourinho and Manchester United is this reluctance to get rid of the deadwood. And then you get this story that Mourinho was frustrated last summer that he couldn't get rid of more deadwood. Because Manchester United's squad, as much as we want to bring players into the club, it's inflated. We're touching 30 senior players. Now, Mourinho has said many a times he'd much rather be hanging around with 20 outfield players and 3 goalkeepers. That's 7 less than he's got at the moment. So the squad needs a lot of trimming. So I'm talking Darmian and Blind will go, but who else is going to go? And can we get rid of those players in the time that we've got left to do it? This summer was always going to be difficult. Anyone who follows the United Stand for any period of time, and do subscribe in the bottom right hand corner and get involved, you're all very, very welcome. But we were talking about this. I remember George Kyle saying it back at Christmas, that this summer transfer window is going to be very difficult, and we should be doing more business in January if we can. And we did bring Alexis Sanchez in, but we should have moved players on then, because the summer is ridiculous. It ends, people go on World Cup, they come back, you've only got 3 or 4 weeks before the start of the season. So it's very, very congested. It's very, very compact. Like I said last night, you've got big things like Ronaldo and Bale, which will cause a domino effect for everything, it's going to be chaotic. It's going to be absolutely chaotic. It's going to be a bit like a New York Stock Exchange where everyone's putting their ticket in the air. And it feels like it's going to be that because we've had 3 weeks since Fred signed and it's been quiet. It's going to kick off a bit this week. July the 1st today, that tends to be when the European transfer windows open as well. It tends to be traditionally when deals start to get announced. It's going to be a really interesting couple of weeks. But I don't know what you think. I mean, do you think we can do 6 deals in 5 weeks or 4 weeks or however long it's got? I don't know. Can't see anyone buying Darmian, sadly, says Guinan. Fortunately, there are clubs in Italy who like Darmian. I know Juventus doesn't look likely now, but Napoli have been linked to him. I think Roma have in the past. We should be able to get rid of him. Daily Blind, again, we should be able to move him on. He shouldn't be a problem at all. Interestingly about Anthony Martial, that there is Mohamed Salah is being mentioned in the same sentence as Anthony Martial. Not because we're signing him, not because we're swapping him, but because... and this has been said before, there is a fear at Manchester United that if Martial goes, they'll end up with this Mo Salah thing where Chelsea let him go and he goes off and becomes the best player in the world or one of the best players in the world. And there's a real fear at Manchester United about that, especially when they signed him from Monaco with so many bolt-ons on there. I think we got him for about £54 million, but we pay more if he wins the Ballon d'Or, more if he wins this, more if he wins that, which is a big, big sign that when we bought this player, we were looking at a player who could potentially go and do those things. So why we let him go at 22? And the bottom line with Martial is whether you're Martial FC, whether you're not, whether you think he's a good player or you don't, the reality is up until we signed Alexis Sanchez, he was arguably one of our best players. Why are we moving a player on like that just because he had a indifferent end to the season? We've got to surely be looking at making him happy and doing something with him that make him stay, because he's a really important player for Manchester United, and hopefully that positivity will continue to reign at Manchester United in relation to that. Let's talk about Rabiot, who plays for PSG. 23 years of age. There is a story today that he's been linked with Manchester United, Manchester City and Barcelona. I believe he's only got a year left on his contract. Well, first of all, what's Rabiot like? Because he's probably Rabiot like. He's probably a player that you've heard of, but you don't really think, I probably have never seen him play. I probably really never noticed him. So he's a bit of a jack of all trades, really. I mean, he sort of reminds me of a younger Herrera with a bit more tenacity about him, and he moves the ball around slightly better. But I don't know. He's just a player that doesn't... I don't know. What you think in the... I mean, Fekir will be a beast at United as Devil's Ace. I don't personally want him. And I think he will go to Liverpool, as Have a Word said. But in relation to Rabiot, give us your thoughts in the live comments, because he's decent but not world class, says SP Mukherjee. He's a good player, says Jean Chris. I take Rabiot. He's a good player, says Samuel. And Rabiot's a quicker version of Matic, says Angelo Klassen. Yeah, quicker version of Matic. More physical version of Herrera. I can see what you're going with that. Rabiot's faster than Matic. He's a waste of time, says Awesome Guy. Rabiot is class. Rather spend big on David Alaba, says Alex Ferguson. And who do you think? What do you? I'll come back to that one in a minute. So in relation to Rabiot, I think he falls into that category of he's a good signing, but you know, I look at someone like Kovacic tonight, and he reminds me of a younger Steven Gerrard. The way he drives with the ball, the way he bites into a tackle. I'd like him. I'd like to get him, to be honest. Rabiot, he's more of a Jose Mourinho signing. I think he's more of a defensive signing. But I like the idea of bringing another midfielder in. And if Rabiot's the best we can get, then fine, because he is good. But I would have my concerns about him. PSG. I mean, look at the PSG players in this World Cup. Neymar's having a good World Cup. Cavani's having a good World Cup. Mbappe's having a good World Cup. And I think that's down to the fact that they play in a league where they've got a cigar on. You know, 3 or 4 tough games a season. The rest of it, you're playing pub teams. Champions League, a few of those games, then you're out by early March. And then you're fresh for the World Cup. And I don't think there's any surprise that these players playing in uncompetitive leagues where you can breeze through it are doing well in the World Cup. And players that have had tough seasons aren't. So I'd have that concern about Rabiot. I mean, there's a funny story about Rabiot that I wasn't aware of until I was looking at him today, and that is that he was on standby for the French squad and he refused to do the training plan, so he wasn't on standby anymore. But yeah, he isn't the best. He's not the best we can get, says Rashid King, which I think in a sentence is what I think. Rap Splinter says Kovacic is rubbish. I like him. I like him. I think, you know, I'm not necessarily saying he was great tonight, but I don't really judge people on World Cup performances. De Gea in the World Cup's not been that good. Still the best goalkeeper in the world. Ronaldo and Messi not been that good in the World Cup. Best 2 players in the world by a long way. So just because you do well in the World Cup doesn't mean we should sign them. Just because you do badly doesn't mean we shouldn't sign them. Milinkovic-Savic, bad World Cup. I'd still sign him. Kovacic, I like him, but I don't think we'll get him. But I really do like him. He's just got a lot. He can run fast. He can drag. He can bring the ball. He can tackle. Good passing range. I really like him. I do really like him. If we were going to get a midfielder, I'd like to get him, and I wish it was true that he still had the release clause. On Rebic for Croatia, I like Rebic, but you wouldn't make that signing. He plays for Eintracht Frankfurt. Manchester United shouldn't make that signing. Let Arsenal do that. Let Everton do that. He's the sort of player who goes to Everton first, and if he's great, he becomes a top 14. But it's too much of a jump. Too much of a jump, I think, in relation to him. Golovin looks like he's going to go to Chelsea. Paul Cap. Just want to bring something in here. I saw again people going on about Luke Shaw's weight. I know there's a fine line between having a laugh and banter and picking on a player, but in the week where we've been told we can't be unhappy about Fellaini because some people have decided to cross the line and say horrible things about him. As I've said before, I don't want any Manchester United player to be booed because it's not because of the player's crap. I don't want Fellaini at the club. I don't. Everyone knows that. I don't wish him hate. It's never been about that. I don't want him to be booed because that's embarrassing when a club boos a player. And regard some of the vile stuff people have said, I think everybody in the United Stand community knows that's unacceptable. But calling somebody fat, I like Luke Shaw, so obviously I'm a little bit defensive about him. But making jokes about your own player being fat, I just wonder about. I wonder about that. I do wonder about that, and I suppose it probably does step into the same thing of the trees that I see of Fellaini that do make me laugh, but. Is that not more about Fellaini being a bit of a static, slow player? I don't know. But the Luke Shaw thing, I think body fascism is wrong, and I'm seeing it quite a lot at the moment. But yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking out loud there because I'm meant to have 2 guests on with me tonight, which I had to cancel because they were meant to be on at 9 o'clock. So I'm thinking out loud a little bit there. So I'm trying to get you lot in. Devil's Ace says Fellaini will get booed. I'll be booing him 100%. Well, look, mate, I can't tell you what to do. That is not what the United Stand is. I had people today saying to me, "Oh, you act like you're the voice of the United fans." Well, you don't watch the channel. That's not the correct way. A fan channel has to be presented by somebody. I'm in the position to do that, but I don't value my opinion above anybody else's. I'm not from Manchester. I'm not a top red. I'm from Nottingham. I've supported Manchester United all my life. My granddad supported them. I love the club, and I respect, and I think because of that, I respect and enjoy and embrace every Manchester United fan's opinion from all around the world because we are a worldwide fan base. And I don't hold my opinion above anybody else's. And if you think it's right to go to Old Trafford and boo a Manchester United player, I don't. I think it's embarrassing for us. I think your reasons for it might be justified. Maybe you're going to do it because of what he said publicly before. Maybe because he appeared to be touting himself around because he had a go at the club a month ago. You might feel it's right, but all I would say is forget about your vendetta with Fellaini, what it is. It's more the way other clubs look at us and go, look at them booing their own. I was always stunned when Real Madrid were booing Casillas and Ronaldo, who've done great things for those clubs, but I still think it's a little bit embarrassing, but there you go. Eric's made a contribution. Thank you for that, Eric Stronsman. I hope you're not a Danish fan, Eric. Can't be nice to go out on penalties. Martial for Mbappe, says KF Studios. No, Mbappe won't come, so why expose yourself as a person who would swap one of our players for somebody else's? It'd be like saying Martial for Salah. It just gives satisfaction to Liverpool fans, doesn't it? There is no way on this earth that Mbappe is coming to Manchester United. Would you come to Manchester United if you were a young player like Mbappe? You'd look at what's happened with Martial. You'd look at what's happening with Rashford. You'd look at what's happening with Pogba. Pogba will probably bloody tell you as well. So no, that's not going to happen. So I wouldn't personally say it. What did drop into my head today, though, I'm glad you said that. What did drop into my head today, what I wanted to ask all you lot about, was if Martial was deciding he was adamantly wanting to leave, okay, bear with me this. So Martial's leaving, we're not forcing him out, he wants to go, no amount of grovelling or anything is going to make him stay. So he's definitely going. Would you rather we got 80 million or 70 million from Juventus, or would you let Spurs have him and have Alderweireld and Moussa Dembele? Would you take Alderweireld and Moussa Dembele, whose combined value is probably around 70, 80 million, or would you take 70 million from Juventus? I just wanted to get a gauge of what people think. Abanaf Shuri says, fans who boo our own players are a disgrace to our club. No matter how bad he plays, we are Manchester United for a reason. We should support every red. That's your opinion, Abanaf. I don't like calling people a disgrace, because there will be people in the live comments who think it's right to boo. I just don't condone it. That's my opinion, and I've explained why. So that's that. But let me know about the. I think Martial will stay. Annie Nonzo, I do agree with you. But if Martial decided that he adamantly wanted to leave, would you take 70 million from Juventus, or would you do it? Would you take the Moussa Dembele and Alderweireld from Spurs? I'll tell you frankly now, I would take Alderweireld and Moussa Dembele. I know they're both 31 and 29, but 70 million for Martial, for me, is a robbery anyway. If he's going to go and do what he's going to do, he's going to be worth 150 million in 2 years anyway. So we're robbed if we take 70 million cash. What are you going to get with 70 million? I think Alderweireld, centre-back, Moussa Dembele, another midfield option. I think we'd benefit from that more than we would 70 million. But I would never do it. I would never do it. But what I'm saying is, if Martial was adamant he wanted to go... And also, there's part of me that would love to see Martial stay in the Premier League. There's something sadistic about me that would like to see Martial in the Premier League playing week in, week out, so we can see what he could have done at United. But, you know, sometimes the money's not a good thing, but it's a hypothetical anyway. It won't happen. Take the money, says Kieran. And no player is worth switching with Martial, says Anas. And Juve's money. Alderweireld and Moussa Dembele for sure, says Aaron Ali. I'd take 70 million, says Mike Rollins. Martial is going to ruin our dressing room, says Delano Redhead. Money from Juve because it could be like Pogba again and return when we have new manager, says Jack Blackwell. Martial's going to ruin the dressing room is an interesting one. I still don't think that the dressing room is resolved between Pogba and Mourinho. So if you listen to what that player, was it Indy Boonen, said, that he trains with the first team a few times. Mourinho doesn't talk to the players apart from a select few. So I think that there may well be issues in the dressing room anyway around factions. And I certainly think it's obvious from Paul Pogba's comments that him and Mourinho don't have a particularly close relationship. I don't think Pogba wants to leave Manchester United, but I don't think there's a particularly close relationship there. So it wouldn't worry me too much, to be honest, about Martial staying. I think the end game is we do want Martial to stay, don't we? So yeah, I'll be happy. I'll be happy with that. I'll be happy with that. Please do drop a like on the video. Let's see if we can get 500 likes while we're live, especially because I've had a long day. I'd appreciate a like, and I think you all deserve a like for staying, waiting for the show. Getting over 2,000 people watching when we were meant to be live at 9 o'clock and we went live at 10 to 10. You're all bloody fantastic. So please do drop a like. And I think we're going to move into a great period now. I mean, I'm loving the World Cup. It's sort of like, it's my therapy at the moment that takes me away from what happened on Friday with that new contract. And I'm loving the World Cup, and there's a lot of optimism. And I thought Spain going out today was great because we lost a team that could potentially win it. And I'm just loving the World Cup. But I think from a Manchester United point of view, we're about to get a double bubble, because I think United, there's got to be some movement in the next 2 weeks. We're going on the US tour in 2 weeks. So I think we're going to start seeing rumours coming in, deals being done. Then we've got the US tour, which I bloody love the US tour. I wish I was going on the US tour, but that's another story. But we will be doing watch-alongs and everything like that. So really excited about that. And then the season starts. I think it's 5 weeks today or something like that. So it's going to start kicking on now. So thanks everybody who's been watching the shows during the World Cup, because I know it's easy to sort of think, oh, I'm just not aware of what I'm going to focus on the World Cup, but a lot of you haven't. And it's going to get really, really interesting over the next few weeks and days. So yeah, absolutely loving it. And I think we're in for an interesting few weeks. Take the money so the Glazers can buy a new yacht, says Luke Skywalker. Mahrez is not bad for the right wing, says Oliveira. He's going to go to Man City. Well, don't you think we need a right winger? We play too compact, says Ellen Man United. Look, I know a lot of people spoke about Rebic today, and I know Perisic didn't play that well, but that was the player that Jose Mourinho wanted. And what I like about Perisic is the way he wanders from right to left and touches the touchline. I hate Alexis Sanchez on the left wing, the way he touches in. He comes inside all the time. I hate it. I liked the way that Perisic or Martial, they hug the touchline. And Perisic could play off the right. I really wish we'd got him last season. I don't think we'd get him now, but I really do wish we had got him. Oh, very interesting. I just wanted to tell you this as well. If you haven't dropped a like, please do. But what I want to tell you is a little bit of a bonus here. It was on Football Fancast website, I think I read it. So I'll give them the shout out. They did a poll with Manchester United fans. I don't know how many. I don't know where they did the poll. They did a poll of who the top 4 Manchester United signings that Manchester United fans wanted 3 weeks ago. So give us your top 3 now, and I'll tell you who was in at number 4. So give us the top 3 who you think were the top Manchester United signings that fans wanted 3 weeks ago. I can tell you that in at number 4 was Alexandro. So that's, you know, that's pretty good in relation to the United Stan community. A lot of us want Alexandro, so he was number 4, which, you know, I probably would have put him a little bit higher, but he was number 4. In at number 3 was Fred, who has already signed, obviously. So Fred came in at number 3. In at number 2 was Milinkovic-Savic. 3 weeks ago, that probably makes a little bit of sense because a lot of people did like him there and they hadn't judged him on 2 World Cup games, which are irrelevant, but that's my issue. So Milinkovic-Savic was number 2. And in at number 1, which really surprised me, they voted for by Manchester United fans, and Vince Chapman's just got it right. He said Bale. Bale was in at number 1, and Rahul has mentioned Bale as well. And Mark Robinson has mentioned Bale, and Logan Bradley has mentioned Bale, and Timmy H has mentioned Bale, and Neville Littlejohn has mentioned Bale. So a lot of people have mentioned Bale, but apparently 3 weeks ago when they did this poll, Gareth Bale was the number 1 player that Manchester United fans wanted, which surprised me in a bit because obviously I take my opinion from you lot, and I do read your comments. I just can't read them all out, and I do read the comments you leave below. I just can't reply to them because it take ages, so I just reply to as many as I can. And I know that in general the United Stan community is probably split 60-40 for Bale. I think 60% would take him, 40% wouldn't, because they've got concerns about injury and age. But I was surprised that Bale was the number 1 player that particular poll of Manchester United fans wanted. I think Bale's as realistic as Ronaldo, so I'd want Ronaldo, to be honest, but that's by the by. That's by the by. But there you go. Just thought I'd let you know. There you go. There you go. Anyway, quick show tonight, but it's better than no show. I was meant to be live at 9 o'clock, and I obviously was doing That's Football with the World Cup watch-alongs. If you want to get on those, they're brilliant. We had like 2,000 people watching for both penalty shootouts today. So we're live at kickoff on That's Football for every World Cup game, and we do a watch-along like we do the United watch-alongs on here. So Brazil-Mexico, 3 o'clock tomorrow. But I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 AM with Transfer Daily. I already know some of the topics on there. Can I give you a little bit of a spoiler? Quite an interesting thing about a centre-back and a Real Madrid player that nobody really knows anything about at the moment. So live, sorry, not live, 7 AM tomorrow. Transfer Daily's back, Monday to Friday, 7 AM. 3 o'clock I'm on That's Football with Brazil, Mexico, and I'm live at here at 9 o'clock tomorrow night. So thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to try and get Sophie on tomorrow night because she was meant to be on tonight. Thanks everyone who's dropped a like on the video. Thanks everyone who's watched it live. Thanks everyone who is watching it below. You are absolutely fantastic, and it really, you know, when we do a show an hour later like that, but people hang around for it, it's really, it's fantastic. It just makes me realise what a great community we've got. So thanks everybody, really, really mean it. Because the show's nothing without you, the channel's nothing without you, and you know, your opinions are what make it what it is. So thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the morning.